Hi, it's me again, Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and today's handover is on a Swift Voyager 695EL. So starting the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first point you get to underneath your skirt after the exhaust is your wastewater outlet point. So this is any dirty water that you've put down any plug hole. And all you need to do is drive over the site and drain it off. Or should I say, that's not your waste, that is your fresh, because it's clean water there. So it's a bit confused with having a grey tap on, but it is fresh. So this is your fresh water. So this is any water that could be contaminated that you want to get rid of because you're simply just not using the van for a couple of weeks, or you're parking it up for the winter. You want to ensure that that is fully drained off to avoid frost damage to the tank or the pipe work. So that's your fresh water drain off point. This is your fresh water fill up point. So go and buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site, and pop the hose into there and wait until it either overflows or until you check on the control panel and think you've got enough water on board. Should you not be able to get a hose to the vehicle, you can bring a bucket of water to the vehicle. You can buy a pump, which is a wheel submersible pump. That's power for it there. Other end in there, pump into the water, and it'll suck the water out of the container and put it into the main freshwater tank. Coming further back, this locker here is your cassette locker. So your Thetford cassette is in here, and to get it out, you would lift the yellow clip, slide it out the vehicle. You can then carry it to the waste disposal point, which is normally beside the toilet block. When you get there, take the cap off, press the button and pour the contents of the cassette out. Once you've done that, put some water in. There's normally a tap there. Give it a rinse before tipping out again, and then you go in with a cap full of liquid. So it can either be green or blue. Go straight into here, and then it's good to go back into the vehicle and be used. Just behind the back wheel there, that is your wastewater tap. So that's any dirty water that you've put down the sink, the shower or the hand basin. Dishes, water, cups of tea, anything. Pull over the grid on the way out of the site and deposit this water, because you don't really need to drive around with it, because it's just going to add weight, which takes it out your payload and uses more fuel. So get rid of the water when you can. Leave it open when you're travelling home, just so it rocks any water out. And in the winter, exactly the same as the fresh, make sure that it's fully drained down to avoid frost damage. Leaving water in the vehicle when we're experiencing colder temperatures can be a costly mistake to make, because it will freeze. This is your hookup point. So if you are charging at home before your big trip away, or you were on a site, to hook the vehicle up, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, lift the flap on the van, slide the hookup point out, connect to it. Always the vehicle first, then the site, so that you're never walking around with a live lead in your hand. Truma boiler flue for when it's operating on gas. So this gives the location of where the boiler is on board the vehicle. It is underneath your back lounge seat. On the back end of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light, your reverse camera and your bike rack. So it's a 2 bike rack. It simply pulls down. 2 bikes on here, through the spokes to tie it down onto the rail, through the crossbar of the second bike, and through the crossbar of the first bike, so it holds it. Then we advise putting some bike lock around the bikes and the bike rack to avoid the bikes from being stolen. And then when not in use, it just clips back up and that just slides back down. Yeah, you have your leisure batteries under here. So you've got your leisure battery, you've got some storage in there, carpets, your auto winding handles there, your after bars there as well. So you've actually got another wastewater tap on both sides of the vehicle. So what you can do is you can drain it both sides, because the tank's there, one tap's there, one tap's here. Just means whichever side the waste disposal point's on, the little grid that you're going to drive over, you can crank it open and get rid of your dirty water. Here you do have your gas locker. So your gas locker, LPG, all your locks on the outside of the vehicle open with a small habitation key. That's on your bunch of keys. And in here you do have your gas bottle. So this is our bottle. We are testing your vehicle, so we're putting gas on to show you everything working. You've got two places for two 6 kilogram bottles. Tie the bottle in once you put it on board, and they connect the black pipe to the top of the cylinder, which is known as a pigtail, a gas pigtail. It's left to tighten, right to loosen, so opposite threads with it being gas. Hand tighten is all you need to do. Turn the cylinder on, making sure that you turn the cylinder off before you do start travelling, so it's safer for other road users. Security handle when leaving the van in storage. Never have this over the door when travelling, in case you do need to get out this door, in case you can't get out the cab for any reason, if you've been involved in a collision. So it would be pinned back like so. Two fridge vents. The diesel goes in here, and it opens and locks with the main engine key. Tyre pressures can be found on here, 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi, with the toolkit underneath the passenger seat, which is a jack and brace and a tow knife. Engine battery is underneath the cab floor with the being a Fiat Ducato, so that's where the engine battery lives, and the bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard, which is covered by the passenger door, so make sure you open that up to get your bonnet release. Catch is in the middle, so you've got a second catch just here, and then you do have all your fluids, so coolant, power steering, brake, screen wash, oil dipsticks for checking your levels, and then to give or receive a jump start, as the engine battery is underneath the floor, you'd earth here beside the headlight, and you put your positive on there. So there's a little cover that comes over there, air filter, fuse box, hit that up, and you can jump start up. So to work your Swift control panel, which is your 12 volt control panel, you'd press power, it'll illuminate if you're hooked up, so you always want the green light to be at the back of the vehicle, which is your leisure battery, and the post lit up, which means the leisure battery is charging. You can change it to the engine battery with the one at the front, but alright if you're charging it, but never for using it, because what will happen is you will drain the engine battery and then you'll not be able to start the engine. So when using it, you always want it to be on the leisure battery. So just leave it as it's set. Cabin lights is just your master switch for your lights, and they all are individually switched. Few levels shows you your leisure battery, your vehicle battery, your waste and your freshwater readings. So if you've got fresh water on board, you can turn your pump on, which when you open the tap will give you a pressurized flow of water, because the pump will kick in. When you don't have the pump on, you'll just get whatever's left in the pipework until it disappears, and then you do have your oil and light on the outside of the motorhome. So to operate your Truma Combi E controls, you select what you're heating here. So you've got 1 to 5, and 5 is your thermostat. So 5 is 30 degrees, so you can adjust the temperature of the inside of the vehicle here to suit. Off's on the O in the middle there. You can have it on 60 degrees of heating your water, only water. You can have it on 40 degrees of only heating your water, which is 10 litres at a time. You can have it on the gas flame, which is heating on its own without any water. So if you didn't have any water on board and you wanted just to heat the vehicle, i.e. in the winter, you can do by just heating the vehicle by on this one. Or you can go down to the bottom and you can heat the water at 60 degrees as well as heat the vehicle. So this is your choice of what you're heating. this is the choice of what source you're heating what you've chosen here off. So at the bottom, starting from the bottom up over, you've got two wiggly lines which indicates electric on 2 kilowatts, which is 1500 watts, and gas together, which is known as mix 2. You can use this in the winter and it'll reduce the time it takes to heat the vehicle or the water. So it will give you, you'll have a warm vehicle in the first 10-15 minutes and then you turn it off gas. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas together, should you not be able to use 1500 watts if you're on a smaller site that isn't as generous with the electricity. You've got gas on its own, which you'd use if you were wild camping. 750 watts of electric or 1500 watts of electric. You'd use 1500 watts of electric on most sites throughout the UK. If you're blowing the vehicle by using too much electric, you may have to turn it down to 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, or you may have to use this on smaller CL sites or airs abroad. But that's the energy source and that's what you're heating. And this is your Truma Combi E heating and hot water controls. In the wardrobe area is where you'll find the location of your omnidirectional TV aerial. So if you're struggling to get a TV signal, what you can do is you can loosen the nut off, which allows you to push the stem of the aerial out the roof of the vehicle, and then you can direct it to find the best signal. But what I would do is look where your other motorhomes and caravans are pointing, point yours in a similar direction, and you've probably found the best signal, because they will have been changing the aerial to find the right signal, and to save you doing it, just point yours in a similar direction. Make sure that it's pulled back into the vehicle and the nuts fastened like I've just done before you do start travelling, to avoid the wind from damaging the aerial and snapping this stem. Storage in here, you've got your gas isolation valves there, so if you ever need to know where your gas taps are, they're there, and it tells you here which one is which. But turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. Freestanding table is in here, as well as your draining board, which lives in there. You've got your large back lounge with the privacy screen from the front. Your lights are individually switched. Telepoint and TV brackets, so you've got two 240 volt sockets there, a 12 volt and a tele aerial connection. To open any of your overhead lockers, make sure you're pushing the buttons in and you can open them up, and you've got loads of storage above, as well as storage in here on both sides. Handy little shelves so you can put your cups of tea and bits and pieces on there when you're making this a bed, or if you're just sitting in the lounge. To operate your Thetford fridge, your on off button is here, so you just press and hold and you can turn it off, and then when you're ready to use it you can turn it back on. This one here changes the source that you want the fridge to run on. So at the minute it says auto, and auto is automatic energy selection, so it chooses the best source available to the vehicle. So we're hooked up now and there's a picture of a plug there, so it's acting as a household fridge on mains to 40 volt. If I was to unhook the vehicle, it would go to gas. As long as the gas bottle is on board and turned on, which it is, we'll switch over to gas. If you start the vehicle's engine, it'll go over at the 12 volt setting, which will maintain the temperature. So it'll get no colder, but it'll get no warmer. It'll just maintain it to what it was previously chilled down to. So if you going from home, put the fridge on a few days before you go away, allow it to chill. Shopping in the night before, allow it to chill. And then when you're ready to travel, it'll keep your shopping nice and fresh until you arrive on your first site, where you can either hook back up or go onto gas. With the gas setting on auto, it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas once you've turned the engine off. This is just a safety feature in case you have forgot to turn your gas off and you've gone to a petrol station to fill up with diesel. The last thing you want to do is for it to be sparking near a naked fumes. So to change it, you just press here, take it off auto, and you can manually change the source. But just leave it on auto and it'll do its own thing. This is your temperature, so when pre-chilling it with nothing in, have it on 5. As soon as you put your shopping in, turn it down, because sometimes it can be too strong and freeze your shopping. Then finally, when you're not using it and the vehicle's parked up, leave the fridge open. So clean it out first and then leave it open. Little toggle underneath the catch here, pop that into there. And it leaves the door ajar so air can circulate in and out of the fridge. Separate freezer box on the top, and then to turn it off you just press and hold. At the back of the vehicle is where your boiler is, and your boiler provides air-blown heating around the various parts of the vehicle, as well as holding 10 litres of water in the boiler. So when we're experiencing frost, anywhere from the back end of October to March, April time, it's always best that you drain the vehicle off so that you don't leave the water in and the water freezes. And to do this, you need to get your boiler drain down toggle, which is this yellow one here. Lift it up and it'll drain the 10 litres of water directly out underneath the chassis. Leave that stood up on end when you're not using the vehicle. It'll mean no water can sit in here and potentially freeze. Open all the taps within the van to allow any water that's sitting in any pipe work out. And then finally you want to blow the pump out. So you want to put the pump on for 10 seconds and then turn it off. And it'll just push any water that's sitting in any pipes, the filter of the pump itself, out of the vehicle. Leave the fresh and the waste open as well on the outside of the van, just to allow no water to sit in the tanks below the vehicle and freeze and cause any damage. And then when you come to reuse the van, pop this back down like so, shut all the taps inside the van, shut the fresh and the waste outside the van, and get your hose pipe and put some water in the vehicle. Once you've got about 20-30 litres in, if not more, depending on how much you want to put in, you can come in, put the control panel on, put the pump on, and open the cold side of the tap first. On the cold side of the tap, you'll get a pressurised flow of water straight away. As soon as you start to select the hot on the mixer, so slowly bring it round, it'll start to cough and splutter. Once you get a free flow of water from the hot side, this is when your boiler is full of water. So it's transferring the water when it's coughing and spluttering from the main tank into here, pushing the air out through the pipes until you get a pressurised flow. This is full, and then you are ready to go. Once you've done one tap, do them all. Then your system is pressurised for the season. But drain it down in the winter to avoid frost damage, because it would be a costly mistake to make should you not drain it down.